It takes a bit of time for YouTube. There we have it. Good evening, councillors. Welcome to this meeting of 29th of August 2022. The clerk is here and we have quorum. Councillor Peter Bro is absent tonight. He's traveling. Are there any conflicts of interest with respect to items on the agenda? Nothing. Do I have a motion to adopt the agenda? Moved by Councillor Paul Boudreau, seconded by Emile O'Brien. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Contrary minded, nay. Carried. We have meetings from the last regular meeting on June 27th and a special meeting on August 2nd. Somebody to read the motion, please, or to move the adoption. One moment. You move. I move that the minutes of the regular meeting held on June 27th be approved, and that of the special meeting of August 2nd be approved. For the question, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Contrary minded, nay. Carried. Denis, you look perplexed. Are you putting the agenda on the screen? For public presentations, we have a citizen, Emile Arsenault, he's here this evening, who wants to speak to us respecting parking in the Park Passau and Park Webster. Good evening, councillors and your worship. When I said I wanted to speak about the parking for our committee, it's where it's situated, and I want to talk about that. We allow you to speak for 10 minutes so that you'll know. Yes, I spoke to Margot a few years ago when she was here. I sometimes go jogging, even though it doesn't look like it. I saw you once on Sunday morning when I was running. My problem is that years ago, we noticed that people were throwing garbage on the road. And it makes me angry when I run and see that. And it's at the bottom of Riverside where there's the new outdoor parking lot. And then when you turn, you're parallel with the Trans-Canadian. There's the beginning of it. That's towards Company. So behind the houses there, farmer that lived there, that's where the road goes by and it's hidden. And Margot had placed signs at the beginning and at the end saying that there would be fines. So it said, please do not throw your garbage. Yes, there was a fine of $500. My problem is that these signs, there are two of them, and between these two there are none. So people are not afraid, so they throw away their garbage. If you could install some signs with bigger lettering so people could read them, because the letters are too small. You can't see them. I can tell you because I'm always there. Yeah, sometimes there's a little can and lines across it. Yes, that's it. I think it would discourage people from throwing the garbage away. So that's one point. The other point is that the Webster parking lot. Shanice, you had a question about that? Are there garbage cans there? No, there's no reason why there should be garbage cans, but it's on the road. It's a gravel road, a dirt road. Denis, did we put some in the parking lot? Yeah, but you can't see them from the road. If there were any in the parking lot, at least you could throw them away. I saw somebody on the weekend that bought a lawnmower, and the box that it came in, it's made of wood covered with cardboard, and they left it there. So if you could address the situation and the city cut the sides with a little uh, yellow tractor, and when it's cleaned like that, people throw their garbage away much less often. I wanted to add, it's it's like a dump. I saw that one year in the spring. When we pick up garbage, we have a committee. We had wheels, bags that just never went to the dump. There's all kinds of stuff. There's Tim Hortons cups. There's everything. Like you were saying, that box, yes. When it's big, they really made an effort to go there to throw it out. So I wanted to mention that. And the other thing is the Webster Park parking lot. Unfortunately, this summer, people in town, and citizens and tourists, could not use that parking lot. Contractors that are building now, they're using it to park their vehicles, and that's not right. If the staff of Shediac Lobster Shop, the yacht and body shop, wanted to park there, they wouldn't be allowed. So why do contractors who are building the apartment building are allowed to park there? And I know a young guy, Jason Gala, who grew up in Shediac, works on Fleta, and he lives in Dieppe, so he brings his lunch every day, and he usually went to Webster Park, but this summer he couldn't go there. Because, yes, it looked like a construction zone. That parking lot is for the citizens and for tourists. During the years that I've lived in this neighborhood, I see people picnicking there. They'll buy a lobster and go eat there. And this summer, we haven't seen that. That parking should be for parking for citizens and tourists, not for construction workers. And I know for a fact I went to Lobster Shop. The parking lot is too small for all the employees. They have a bus that brings them in. They can't go park at neighbors, but contractors should have taken into consideration that there was no parking and to have made arrangements for parking for his employees. I think Webster Park should be for citizens and not for the contractors. Thank you, I understand. The building is there, the shell is there, but there's still a lot of time left for the construction. It's going ahead, yes. This is the letter that citizens sent to the town. And I wanted to give it to you to remind you what I'm talking about. This is part of Webster Park as well. This letter was signed by many people to the city because they want answers, and we never received answers. We would like an answer to this letter. And on the same subject, I would like to know if we've received an update on the Webster Park that includes access to the water. People in Webster Park would like to have a new access to the water, and you know what I'm talking about here. Was there an update? Do you have any news for us? The gang that came here to other meetings to talk about that. Did you get an update? I can let you know that the minutes adopted on June 27th, Councillor Paul and Councillor Germain moved and seconded that personnel be mandated to determine a firm and cost to accomplish two tasks: identify the challenges, so a firm that could do that, the replacement of Riverside Avant, and to identify solutions, including costs for access. So the discussions during this meeting, there would be a stop sign, a three-way stop sign. There would be a site plan that would be part of the report, and then to identify other sites at the top of Skaduk River, upriver of Skaduk River, and there are challenges and solutions. So we wanted to know what it would cost, and we wanted a plan to see what would be safe and functional, and maybe a look at the coastline of Skaduk too. So costs for this project should be sent to the council as soon as possible for a decision. But since that time, we have identified a firm. We've had preliminary discussions, but the study has not yet been done. The other thing adopted by council was the 27th of June or the 2nd. I think it's the 27th. It's 2.5. We only had 4 or 5 points at the special meeting. So Mr. Doiron had come and wanted legal advice about Cape Edouard. And it was registered under title and it belongs to Mr. Pellerin. So we mandated that. We have not received any more information. So we heard from Maître d'Aigle on that question. So these were the decisions of council that were adopted, and for the options, they're being developed. So that's what I can tell you. I'll ask councilors, are we still going to be at the same place next summer, summer 2023, discussing the same situation, or will we actually do something? It's difficult to give you an answer. The resolution states that the study should be done and sent as quickly as possible to council. We're asking for it, but it takes a certain amount of time. It took some time to identify a firm that could do it too, that would have the competence. And it's going to take some time to accomplish that. But the intention was to do it during the winter. Is that it, Denis? We had preliminary discussions. Yes, we have to talk about it during the budgetary process as well, if there are costs. So we'll give you the budget, yes, that will be done in the fall. I think you don't really take us seriously on this subject. I'm saying that because the letter that I showed you was signed by many people, and it was given to you in June. We wanted an answer within 10 days. Perhaps it wasn't possible to do it in 10 days, but it was forgotten about. Nobody took it seriously. Will we get an answer soon? This is part of the petition. Yes, that's the way I see it. Yes. When I talk of Webster Park and Pellerin Dock, it's all the same thing. You have to take us seriously. Citizens that signed this petition, we had more than 400. You have to take us seriously. So please try to push this through so we'll know what's going on. So next summer we'll have access to water. We don't have access now. Jill Burke, G. Burke owns G. Burke and sells motorcycles in Dieppe. And he comes and does kayaking on Skiduk River when he can. And I spoke to him the other day in his office. I asked him if he'd done kayak, and he said he went the other day. And he said I had to go park at the Big Lobster. And then he couldn't find a parking spot, not one. He heard the rumor that at the point of Cornwall Point, where there's an overpass, people were putting their kayak in the water there, so he went there. He said it's dangerous. When council says they're concerned about safety, I don't think you're really concerned because we had access that was safe before. Now it's blocked. Now people have to go climb rocks. That's not safe. Please take us seriously. Please. Thank you. The decisions of council, this is the only answer I can give you now. Well, some things are taken care of quicker than others. They don't take us seriously. I have two members of council who want to speak. Councillor Paul and then Councillor Patricia. Thank you for that presentation. Yes, I was asking myself the same question. The resolution is part of amendments, and I see that in your third paragraph. And what was discussed at the meeting, active transportation and safety, we discussed that three-way stop, a rumble strip. We sent all that to management to give to our experts for a master plan of the area. And like his worship mentioned it, I see the verbs restore, updating, improve. So our timeline for that is to get a report by the end of September or October, and it would be in the budget for 2023 if we could maybe put 500,000 on it. But yes, we must have to react, and get an access to water, and of course, safety. We can interpret it as we wish, but safety is also within the basin of the Skiduk River. So we had discussions in the committee, but all that was sent to administration to make the file move ahead. And I hope it will go ahead soon as well. Councillor Patricia, thank you, Your Worship. To continue what Paul said, I took notes on this file. Next week we have a meeting, a plenary meeting. Perhaps that administration could work on dates for timelines when we could get the firm to do something, so we could have a good idea of what is going on. Perhaps we could have a deadline for the steps, finding the firm, when they're going to start working on the plan. Next Monday or the next public meeting after that. Thank you. To conclude, I thank you to have listened to me, but I know there's a meeting in the past where it was mentioned an expropriation. We won't talk about it in detail and take up more of your time, but I think it was Mr. O'Brien that moved to look into that. So if you have looked into it, please give us news soon. And if you have not looked at it, I would like a counselor to do the expropriation of this dock so that it would be an extension of Riverside Drive and it would look good. People could go there and eat lobster. They could go fishing. It should be fixed and make it look good. For the expropriation, yes, we discussed it with our lawyer. We have not made that information public yet. When a municipality consults a lawyer, it's confidential. We can probably talk a little bit about it, but I will not do it tonight because I don't have anything written on that. And I don't want to quote a lawyer when I'm not sure. Yes, we should look at that. We could do something really beautiful. It's the nicest part of Shediac. That's where this town put the big lobster, and it's beautiful. If it could be all fixed up, would be beautiful. So that's what I have to say tonight. Thank you. Any other questions? No? Thank you for your time. Number 7, reading of correspondence. Mr. Manager, Town Manager. First letter is from Danielle Routier concerning her presidents at a meeting in June. She's just talking about this meeting, and the other one is from Noella Leja, 58 of our street, about lots belonging to the city, and there's a photo. So asking administration to see if they could use this part of this lot. Councillor Chanis will look into that, seconded by Councillor Bro. I note that it looks like part of a street that was not finished, and it's grass now. So we could look at it to see if it would be for public use or not. Moved, seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Contrary-minded, nay. Carried. Next letter is from Raymond Brun, municipal engineer of DIT New Brunswick. It's about the highways with the reform. Some projects will be put aside from 2025 to 2029, but 23 to 24 they'll follow the process established with respect to Beaubridge to Chesley should not be affected. So that's because of the reform. So they'll have to see about the reform. Paul Lang and Daniel Doucet concerning stops on Rachel and Bow Bridge. We had discussions about that in June. So we had a study done by Englobe. We asked that they do it sooner rather than later, but there were periods where there was traffic and detours, and the figures would not be exact, so they wanted to do it in a certain period of time. I would like to talk about item 13 for requests. No problem. Councillor Janice, what is the date that we had discussions with this group within Globe? That was August 2nd at the special meeting. I thought we would be doing a preliminary meeting and it would start the, the week after. They placed a camera there. Do you have any information, Luc? They started the week after. So there'll be two studies, preliminary study and a data collection before traffic starts on Main Street and afterwards, and they're going to compare both. My wife told me there was a camera there with speed. She said, no, no, no. I went to look at it. The next letter is from Annick Roy, President, Downtown Shediac. It's a project they have in downtown with gift cards. I think Denis has more information about that. With those gift cards, you can buy them for promotion in downtown to encourage people to come shopping downtown. That's the intention. And there would be a tourist advantage on that. So they could use the branding of Experience Shediac, so it would be good for us. With respect to the budget, it comes from Experience Shediac. Yes, it's a promotion. We have the capacity to be able to do this. Councillor Janice, the Councillor Patricia. Do I request to make a motion? If Patricia wants to do that, I'll give her a chance to ask a question. The $6,000 that would cover the costs of the promotion, you would buy a card for $100 and it's a project of $8,000 and then there's a cost for each card, so it's a partnership between the two. We don't pay 100% of that. Yes, it's a small amount, $6,000 to start. I can move, but to approve $6,000 as a promotion from Experience Shediac. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Contrary minded, nay. Carried. 7.6. This is a letter from J's Double A, minor baseball of Beaubassin-Est, who wants a contribution of $2,500. I have a question. I didn't see the text of this policy for a long time. We have a policy where we can give financing for youth or parents, $100 per youth per year to help them with the costs of sport, hockey, soccer, whatever. And the politic was in place before I arrived here, but I have not debated it. Was it for each request? Have one, you could have one activity, then another, and another. I'm certain that parents in Shediac and Beaubassin, it's good to do that. But the policy has no other contribution. Yes, Jays could ask for a contribution for the team of $500. So team can have 500, or the youth from Shediac could have $100. Councillor Sylvie, in this team, there are 3 youth from Shediac. It was confirmed on the weekend. Certain youth do other sports as well. Maybe they got $100 because they were doing hockey in the winter. So if we do our research, we couldn't give them the $500 because, to be honest, I'm not going to be the police here, but rather than giving them money, this is for September 15th, the 16th to 18th. Perhaps we could give them something from Shediac because they're going elsewhere. We could give them pins that they could exchange, but I don't know if this is what we could recommend. If you say you can give $500 to the team, he can get $500 unless he already received the $100. No, it's the team or each person. Just a minute. You can have 500 for the team, but a youth can apply for $100. These 3 youth. But if they already received it in 2022, they can't apply twice. $100 per year per youth. Can we check for these 3? I know one of them, but I don't know who the other 2 are. We can give $500 to the team. You have to turn your mic on. We don't hear you. But it's $500 for the team. And it's got nothing to do with the 3 youth. No. So I move that we give the team $500. I second. J's under 13 AA, $500. Moved by Councillor Patricia, $500 for the team. Seconded by Councillor Germaine Gala. For the question, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Contrary-minded, nay. Carried. I would have liked to see the policy in front of me. Correspondence from Lindsay Frichette, the program Talk With Me. It's a request for the multi-purpose center. Yes, they say in the letter that they were using the library, but they can't accommodate them on the dates they request because they're doing a book sale. In this case, they ask for money that'll pay the center, essentially. We don't know what the cost will be. It'll be about $240. It's not a large amount. $240. So a motion for the program Talk With Me, moved by Councillor Germaine Galland and seconded by Jean-Claude Bertin, Deputy Mayor. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Contrary-minded, nay. Carried. Thank you. Reports from permanent committees, financial reports. We need somebody to read the resolution. For the motion that financial reports be adopted as presented. For the motion on financial reports, I have a question. I think I already know the answer. On page 2, professional fees, we had budgeted 30,000. So we used more consulting services than expected, or was this a big surprise? No. Lawyers, the last few years, the average was 65,000. But we budgeted 30 this year. We thought we would spend less. Thank you. Mr. Arsenault. The letter that I sent a little while ago, would you read it? Yes, we don't read them, but we have received it and we shall mention it. Councillor Pot, I have a question. The checks, I see Miley Maid here. We paid Miley Maid for what? The Operations Center on Ohio Street to do cleaning. We've been doing that for a few years. In the garage or offices? In the garage. It's about half the price we paid before. Oh, that's good news. Councillor Janis. That's okay. Are you sure? In the budget, there's a section, TP, regular salaries and overtime, public works. There's no percentage of budget that is noted there. We do it at the end of the year. Jean did it at the end of the year. Everything was accounted for, the salaries. And at the end of the year, we divide the overtime. So it's all divided for snow plowing, salting. So it's zero all year, and at the end of the year, it'll come into the other categories. Can't you budget it separately? It's all budgeted in one. If you look at the lines here, it's the way we present it, but the figures are there. Councillor Patricia, I have a question for Lynn or maybe Denis. On page 6, homes, line 1, there's salaries for festival and materials. And that's a bill to the festival? Yes, thank you. So we have a motion to adopt the financial report. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Contrary-minded, nay. Carried. For protection services, we have fire safety services for June and July. The deputy fire chief is here. Maybe it's not your title. Thank you for being here tonight. Are there any questions, Councillor Paul? I have a comment. Maybe I have a message for Chief Denial. The you were always there. The fire protection services were always there at the festivals, and we were cooking hot dogs and that. And I want to thank you. Yes, the barbecue circuit started again this summer after the pandemic. It was very appreciated. Thank you. 8.3 construction permits. We have those for June and July. In July, we have a total of 50.5 million. Last year, we had 55 million. I thought it was the highest amount we would get. And we still have a few months left, and I know there's an important one coming out. We don't have the figures yet. And we'll have more. So that looks good. Councillor Pot. Danny is not here? I have a question. Villa Providence, was there a request for the construction permit? Not yet. They're still developing plans. And on Main Street, Peter isn't here. Well, he filed the plans, but he's waiting for the permit. So he filed everything with the Regional Services Commission. They're a bit busy, so it should be received soon. I know the intention of the developer is to start right away. To answer, Paul, I'm doing the pre-construction. So that should start. We have a meeting with the developer on Wednesday, and the project will be starting. Perfect. The town manager. I have an update with human resources. We had candidates for the deputy director. We had 4 candidates we're going to interview. We have great candidates, and your worship, the panel will be created with 4 members, with his worship and myself will be on the interview panel, and we'll be interviewing next week. We hope to have the person in place in September. We're looking at options to open this position, and we're looking at the reform. If there's an option to look for the city of Dieppe to see if we can share services. Do we need somebody full time, or maybe 3 or 4 days a week? So we hope to maybe share with another municipality. And with this respect to communications, we have a consultant that's looking for filling this position, who is working closely with LIC, and everything that is posted on this website of the town. He has done that, and they're doing really good work with us, so we can concentrate on other things. So this position will be open in this fall. And on the West Main, Luc accepted to come tonight. Thanks for coming. And he can give you an update. We're opening and we're starting a project on Centennial Pleasant, Seaman, and Sebastien. After the last rain, the citizens were concerned. So we'll have a meeting next Tuesday to see if we can improve the situation on Sebastien. We'll have two members from Englobe at the meeting next Tuesday to answer questions of councillors. On West Main, we're 1 week behind. It's going well in my book. On Seaman and Centennial and Pleasant, it's a touchy situation. We're a little bit late in the year with a project of this magnitude. And we'll see what we can figure out with the consultant, whether we should wait or go ahead and bite the bullet. So we'll see what the consultant and Globe recommends, and then we'll take a decision. For Melissa, we have one agent, and if Mrs. Peugeot took a position with the government of New Brunswick, and we're happy for her. So we're starting again at zero. So now we need a team of people. So if somebody leaves, the other person can take the place. In Kent County, they have a private company. So there's a team of 3 or 4 people, maybe with the city of Dieppe. They have a team of 4 or 5 people. I've met a few people. With Dieppe, with the reform, it's possible that the LSDs request services, and perhaps we could have somebody full time. But for now, we'll have to ask for services from other municipalities like Dieppe. And you already know, after the heavy rains we've had after August 14th, the work we had done, there was water in the street, there was a lot of it, but I did not hear any stories about basements being flooded. So I think the work that was done improved the situation. To have 1.5 feet of water in the streets, it's a bit much, but we want to improve that situation when it rains a lot. So we hope to go ahead with that. To go back to the West Main project, I would like to note that with respect with complaints, the department looks at a timeline of 5 or 6 weeks to finish the work on the bridge. So we hope to do our work within 2 weeks. So even if the project has been finished, there will have an additional 4 weeks while Main Street will be closed, and it's not associated with the project. They will, the bridge will be closed of 1 week, and they're going to manage the traffic on the bridge because it's the Department of Transportation is there. We have already asked the developer by the end of August. We didn't want to close too long, but DTI should manage them. But they started a little bit later than planned. So it's going to be managed by DTI by lights, I think. Yes, they're going to put up their own lights, like they usually do when they work on bridges. There are concerns with respect to our project because the consultant and contractors are concerned about traffic jams with those lights, as well as with our barricade, and they won't be able to access the site with their trucks and materials. So we're looking at possibilities to see how we can work together with DTI. We'll discuss it in the next few days. It's painful, but the end product will be good. Number 10, 10.1, request a zoning change for 46 Z. Ten point one. Could you lead it? Yes, whereas Council received a request from Denise Leblanc to amend bylaw Z 1444 entitled Shediac zoning bylaw to change the zoning of the property numbered 010444700 from high-density residential R3 to medium-density residential R2 to allow a single-family dwelling on a vacant lot. I so move. Yeah, not finished yet. Therefore, be it resolved that Council review the dossier to determine if an amendment to the zoning bylaw is in the public interest. Further, be it resolved that the clerk shall, on behalf of Council, request the advice of the Shediac Planning Review Committee under Section 110 of the Community Planning Act to receive such advice. Be it also resolved that the clerk shall ensure, in the name and on behalf of Council, that public notice of the passing of such bylaw is published within the time frame specified in Section 111 of the Community Planning Act, and that the public hearing be set for September 26, 2022 at 6 p.m. at the Council chambers to listen to objections to the proposed bylaw. I so move. Moved by Deputy Mayor, seconded by Paul Boudreau. This is a request of a proprietor for rezoning to start the process of a public hearing and proceed to 3 readings if it's the desire of Council. Any questions on the proposition? I don't have a question, but I think there's an error on the map. If it's official, we have South Code Road and then Greenwood, and somebody wrote Promenade Riverside on it. It's written in white. This should be corrected. Yes, it's on Greenwood. I will look at it more closely later. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Contrary minded, nay. Carried. Councillor Janice, 10.2. Rezoning request Z 1444 47Z Chelsea Street. Whereas Council received a request from Claude Duguay to amend bylaw Z 1444 entitled Shediac zoning bylaw to change the zoning of the property numbered 008668889 from low-density residential R1 to medium-density residential R2 to allow the construction of a 3-unit dwelling. Therefore, be it resolved that Council review the dossier to determine if an amendment to the zoning bylaw is in the public interest. Further being resolved that the clerk shall, on behalf of Council, request the advice of the Shediac Planning Review Committee under Section 110 of the Community Planning Act to receive such advice. Be it also resolved that the clerk shall ensure in the name and on behalf of Council that public notice of the passing of such bylaw is published within the time frame specified in Section 111 of the Community Planning Act, and that the public hearing be set for September 26, 2022 at 6 p.m. at the Council chambers to listen to objections to the proposed bylaw. I so move. Moved by Councillor Janice Cormier, seconded by Colette Boudreau. So that we'll have a public hearing. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Contrary minded, nay. Carried. 10.3. Councillor Civi for the reading. Rezoning request Z144448Z Chesley Street. There are two of them that are similar. It's not a duplicate? No. Whereas Council received a request from Claude Duguay to amend bylaws at 1444 entitled Shediac Zoning Bylaw to change the zoning of the property numbered 706-79881 from low-density residential R1 to medium-density residential R2 to allow the construction of a 4-unit dwelling. Therefore, be it resolved that Council review the dossier to determine if an amendment to the zoning bylaw is in the public interest. Further, be it resolved that the clerk shall, on behalf of Council, request the advice of the Shediac Planning Review Committee under Section 110 of the Community Planning Act to receive such advice. Be it also resolved that the clerk shall ensure in the name and on behalf of Council that public notice of the passing of such bylaw is published within the time frame specified in Section 111 of the Community Planning Act, and that the public hearing be set for September 26, 2022 at 6 p.m. at the Council chambers to listen to objections to the proposed bylaw. I so move. Moved by Colette Boudreau, seconded by Deputy Mayor Bertin. For the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Contrary minded, nay. Carried. And the last of this series, Councillor Germaine. Thank you, Your Worship. Local Government Service Easement, Maple Lane. Whereas the Southeast Regional Service Commission has received a request from Jamie Shade to purchase a portion of Maple Lane to accommodate the development of Saint-Anne Street. Whereas the town of Shediac owns municipal infrastructure on this portion of land, a local government service easement is required to ensure their proper operation. Whereas the Southeast Regional Service Commission recommends that Council accept and approve the easement for local government services as presented on the plan developed by Dagler Surveys Ltd. Entitled Town of Shediac Subdivision with work number 16148 and dated April 27, 2022. Be it resolved that Shediac Town Council approve the location of the easement for local government services as recommended by the Southeast Regional Service Commission. I so move. Moved by Councillor Germaine Galland, seconded by Emile O'Brien. For the motion, I wish somebody could explain it to me in plain language. Luc ou Gilles? More or less. To make a short story, it's a more efficient way to give to the developer what he needs. This easement is necessary for him to do his work, the parking. And right now, on Saint Anne, it would cross his the parking. The Maple, sorry, Maple. I made a mistake. I was one street next door. I lived on Maple for several years. There's a large parking on the bottom. There's no use for it. So it's just a plus for the town to do that. We need an easement because there'll be underground services. So I recommend this. It makes sense. Councillor Paul. For the description here, if you want access from one place to the other on a street, the fire service, was the fire service consulted about this parking? If you close the street for a parking lot, what about emergency services? That's a good point. No, we did not speak to Donald. There's no turnaround on the Maple right now, but there's a big parking lot that could be used. We consulted the chief of the fire services and there's access on Saint-Anne, so he said it was okay to go from Saint-Anne into the parking lot. So the exchange of property does not hinder access by the fire services. On Maple Street, it's a dirt road. It's the width of one car. I can't imagine the fire truck going down there, but there is one building that was removed, a duplex where I used to live. It's the entrance where UPM used to be before they moved. It's a small street. And it's at the bottom. There were two houses there before, but they were bought by the developer, and there's nothing left. There were houses, but not anymore. Moved by Councillor Galland, seconded by Councillor O'Brien. Other questions? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Contrary minded, nay. Carried. We have the Maple Street file too for the street closing. For unfinished business, 1.1. Cutting trees on Sebastien Street. We sent letters to 2 citizens on this street regarding cutting of trees. We had a special meeting and we did not recommend legal procedures, but there were citizens that lost a lot of privacy after they cut the trees, but I didn't hear requests from citizens. We kept the lots. The request was made at the beginning of the year to buy these lots, but we said no because we needed it for the retention pool. I received 2 complaints, but I didn't receive answers, and I told citizens I would get back to them. They were concerned about the loss of their privacy. Councillor Janice, what are the options before us? Can the administration give us options? Can we replace them? What can we do? We can ask citizens to replant trees on town lands that they were cutting. Some of them were in a bad shape as well. We sent Martel to cut trees If it's on town property, we do it ourselves, but we always consult the town. We have a lot of options. I think we should advise citizens, and that as a city we could replace trees if they were not healthy. I should look at it with Denis in the fall. We'll come back to you with recommendations to at least give citizens to get back their privacy. Councillor Pot and then Deputy Mayor. When we were talking later about Sebastian Street, it's near the pool. I think we should have experts' advice. But the retention pool, and it's we should plant trees to retain water on the east of the basin with some good trees. And we should even go even north of the basin, the pool. It would be very beautiful. There was damage done, but we can do something beautiful too. And we can plant trees there. We'll come back with recommendations next week. Yes, it would be very interesting. Yes, we'll come back with options. Yes, and make it more beautiful. At number 12, we don't have anything new from administration. Information by members of council. Thank you, Your Worship. Mr. Denis, where are we situating for the skateboard park? Did we receive reports from the security company we had hired? They're working, looking at the gate. Is going to cost $3,000 to remove the fence. So they're looking at 6 to 8 weeks. They're not taking the whole thing out. And at the back, there's a deep ditch there. So we have funds to be able to do that. And our insurance reports indicates that there's no reason why the fence should be there. So I'd give the go-ahead to remove that fence. Do we need a motion to have it removed? That's administration. It's in the budget for repairs. And for the insurance report, there were other suggestions that could benefit the safety of youth who go to the skate park. They were talking about more lighting and more surveillance. Could we do anything better or do more? Yes, we have a lot of damages in the toilets, the public spaces. So we wanted to get some money for 2020, 22, 23. And for lights, I'm looking at a lot of parks with youth and COVID. We see the fast The last few years, we've had trouble with toilets at Pascal Poirier. They were destroyed as well. We have a lot of challenges, so I'm going to propose a budget for 2023 for lights and for more security in the parks. I didn't receive any reports as such, but we didn't indicate problems. There weren't any times where we had to call the RCMP. Nobody's really seen anything. All these damages took place when no one was there. It was school beginning. Should we perhaps add a bit more security? There'd be a lot more people there. When school starts, it's at the Parc Pascal Poirier. We met with Anne as well to look at to see if we could have something at the Pascal Poirier Park. That's where we have the most challenges during school. Councillor Paul. For the roundabout on St. Joseph Street, are there negotiations ongoing? I spoke with Chris, and we're waiting to finish the work with the constructor, and we're waiting for prices. The town gave them the go-ahead. We have a contingency for the project. When that is done, we we'll have it by writing from the PID owner to use that as a turnaround. So we'll let you know more when it's finished. On Sebastien Street and the water, the capacity of pipes, they should be documented in other minutes. What is existing there, the capacity of the retention pool, I would like to know from experts, is the roundabout high enough? Is it adequate? Another question, internally here, we mentioned that extreme weather conditions, and I congratulate the fire service. When we announce extreme conditions, we should have a team ready to react so we could prepare ourselves. And inspection plans, do you have them in your department? Do you verify culverts, the pipes, to see if there's leaves accumulating within the system? Yes, we'll discuss all these points on the 6th. The town has a preventative maintenance plan for storms. That's the operations team. We do that twice a year, usually in the spring. We check, we clean the culverts, and then in the winter, they'll even go to make sure everything, the catch basins are open. Respect to big rain events, our teams are on top of it. Scott and the guys are good with that. They will prepare themselves in advance. If Scott knows we'll have a heavy rain, they'll inspect the streets and the catch basins. They're very good with that. We had a lot of rain, but we didn't get any warning from Environment Canada. But we had a lot of rain. Thank you for the correspondence that you sent to the residents as well about the work that's left to be done. What's left to be done? Oh, for about $1 million. We're going to get a report next week and with more details. There were 3 or 4 phases. They'll come back with visuals. That's always good. On 2024 for Main Street, that was part of it. Beaubridge Street and signs that were removed. What studies were done, Luc? By the cemetery, they use 3 methods, as I understand from Ryan. There's a cable on the road that crosses the road. There are cameras, and it's hidden well. And here at the town, we help them with our 2 spare radar signs. They're there now. I received calls from residents. They're collecting data, and that will be shared with Anglo. So we'll have a lot of data. You said a while ago that it'll be done when we open Main Street. They started the week after we met, the 4th or 5th of August, and it will end the opening of Main Street. And that will depend on what's happening with the blocking here, the detour. And if the town decides to move the detour to Riverside, I don't know if it will be considered as Main Street being opened. The objective is to get accurate figures when the town is in normal operation. I'm disappointed that the study is done during the summer, because we're in a residential zone here. All the children outside, there's no school. And if we get the data from October and November, it's not quite right. It doesn't justify the demography of the places where the signs were removed. So it's the data, the research. We'll discuss it on the 6th with the experts. They started collecting data at the beginning of August. The data by the cemetery, there's data closer as well. There are 4 places where they're collecting to date, and 3 others. So we'll have 7 areas of data collection. And we asked them to do all of Beaubridge from one end to the other. We're talking about traffic and the southwest part of town. The Miquelon Street, why was it never finished? Because when you come out of the roundabout on Riverside Drive, you go by Edouard. It was never finished. It's not a long stretch, 150, 175 meters. Can we explore again? It could ease the flow of traffic on Riverside Drive that could end up on the roundabout. Could we look at that, Luc, in administration, to see how much it would cost to develop that stretch? I don't know if there are services underneath. I don't know. I don't know what priority would be Beaubridge East. So we'd have to choose one or the other. We can't react before we get figures. Like if it would cost $5 million, for instance. We had talked about it. It's not a street that's necessary for the town right now, but with the new exit, of DTI in the future, it would be a key street. So it depends on that. That's what I had understood. Once we have an exit from the Route 15, that's when we'll need it because traffic will come at that end just to come into town. So I always thought if we do an exit on the other side of the 15, we'll do that end because it will be necessary. Nothing stops us from doing it, meanwhile. But we'll have to do Bro Bridge up until Ohio, and I think that's more pressing. That's what I wanted to know. The other thing, the access to water, but that's okay, thank you. Councillor Sylvie, thank you, Your Worship. Denis mentioned a couple points respecting vandalism in parks and toilets. I received an email today from a gentleman who sees a lot of things that we don't see, and he's concerned. Perhaps I'll answer a few lines with what we've learned tonight. We wanted to remove a graffiti. We tried to get an artist to come back and redo something, but I think we're going to remove it and have something else new because I asked the artist to come back and maybe we change it to conservative. No, it's not very pretty. Councillor Patricia and then Germaine. At the meeting at the end of June, we had a file on the fire station. We had a meeting in July to visit it. We had many discussions. We need a place for storage. I know the file is going ahead. I see the director's report. There were meetings and discussions. Are we going to do something temporary? We should go ahead with it quite quickly on this section. Did council discuss it further? Something temporary to a type of warehouse for the for storage. They need to store their uniforms and things. Are we going ahead with that? Are we going to talk about it at the meeting next week? Because we're not going to build the fire station from 1 week to the next. And here it's the safety of the firefighters that it's in question and their health. Councillor Jalbin, best for the last. Denis, can we lock the toilets at night? Is that possible when activities are finished? We started doing it on the weekend, and I told staff to lock the toilets, and then we go back Saturday morning, Sunday morning. So it's quite a challenge because we don't have personnel to lock the toilets at 10 p.m. If we could close them at 4 and 4:30, and they wouldn't have them for the evenings, we're looking at different formulas. But to have somebody go and lock them at night rather than they be destroyed, it would cost just as much. They stopped somebody at the park. There was one lady that was lying down on the floor in the toilets. They picked the locks to get in. When I compare my discussions with the Moncton mayor, this is not as bad. They have a lot more problems than we do. I don't know, but at behind the Bella Lion building, there was a tent in the woods. Isn't that somebody's backyard? It's behind Bella Lion. There was a blue tent in the park. The building is on Como, and there's a facade on the park. I know there was a man with a bicycle. I just wanted you to know. Maybe that's the one that goes to the toilets and then lies down. Councillor Paul, on the Pascal Poirier Park. And last night there was 17 cars in the park and people are gathering there. 17 cars in the park? Yes. Now they're parking next to the slides. I go to all the events there, but I thought there were posts that people couldn't get there, but they know how to remove them. One day there were 23 of them. I don't always count them. It's not my job, but they're not respectful. When we ask artists to bring their own equipment and cars, we have to remove the post to get their equipment on stage. So there's no place to really load things, but we have to give maybe a better access for the artists to load. They're right by the slide, right in front of them. Nobody says anything to them. It's something to look at for security reasons. At the event yesterday, so perhaps we should look at the next series for next year. It's just the last shows. It must be the same people. Thank you. 14.1. Bylaw 66. Close up and stop portion. Bylaw 66, closing, stop at close permanently, portion of Maple Street and Chediac be authorized and be read for a first time. Moved, seconded for the motion. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Contrary-minded, nay. Carried. 66 to stop up and close permanently the lane at Chediac. I move that we accept first reading. Moved by Patricia Bouk-Chevary, seconded by Councillor Boudreau. All those in favor, say aye. Contrary-minded, nay. First reading. 14.2. Third reading of bylaw number 2223, a bylaw respecting the collection and elimination of garbage. Bylaw number 2223, bylaw respecting collection and elimination of garbage. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Contrary-minded, nay. Carried. bylaw 2223, bylaw respecting collection and elimination of garbage in Dieppe that we accept. Third reading by title and adopt bylaw number 2223. Moved by Councillor O'Brien, seconded by Councillor Chevalier. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Contrary minded, nay. Carried. That will officialize the time when garbage will be collected. 15.1. Thank you, Your Worship. Adjudication of Connor Bellevue Heights Water System Expansion, TS 2228162. Resolve the Council give the contract for Bellevue Heights Water System Expansion to Camille Lejar Limité in the amount of $814,000. I so move. Moved by Councillor Galland, seconded by Councillor Boudreau. I have a question on that. I saw the price. What was the estimate on the cost? $625,000 with estimates in 2020. So we have the money for it, obviously. Yes, and reserve fund. That was moved by Councillor Germain, seconded by Councillor Parr. On the motion, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Contrary minded, nay. Carried. $15.2. Riverside Drive contract adjudication. Riverside Drive Trail Connection, TS 22-28294. Recommendation to give the contract TS 22-28294 for Riverside Drive Trail Connection to J.K. Fraser & Son Ltd. in the amount of $175,347, tax included. I have a question. Moved by Councillor Paul. I see the figures. One of the proposal was 175,000. There's a lot of difference between the others. What is, it's like 4 times more. Well, there's one that tried with a high price, but J.K. Fraser didn't have much work then, and they were able to give a low rate. So on this type of project, the lowest bid gets it. That's normal. They're comfortable with that. And they're under budget. We had a budget of 208,000. But I'm curious because there's so much difference here. I think they were looking at a riverside trail elsewhere than in Chidiac. Maybe the bridge. Could build a bridge. Moved by Councillor Paul Boudreau, Sylvie Colette Boudreau. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Contrary minded, nay. Next item. Deputy Mayor. Transfer of budget, Rotary Park to Omanis project. Be it resolved that $397,000 of the operating budget paid from the operations fund 128285 be transferred to the economic development account. Moved, seconded. The Omarus Center is built on Shediac lands, and the agreement was that we would contribute 842,000, but the building is worth 8 million, so we contributed about 10%. And that's for the center for visitors. And they're in a new building. We've had transfer funds, and Lynn confirmed with the province there's going to be, it would have to be going through the Economic Development Fund to do the transfer. So we'll have a balance. Any other questions? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Contrary-minded, nay. Carried. 15.4, Councillor Sivi. Thank you, Your Worship. Street closure, Festival Omar. Be it resolved that the Council approve the temporary closing of Avenue Belleville between Weldon and Pleasant Streets and Weldon and Main up to the entrance of Shediac Hotel starting September 9th at noon until September 11, 2022 to accommodate the Home Art Festival. Moved and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Contrary-minded, nay. Carried. Nominations to committees, there are none. Councillor Gaudette moves the adjournment at 20:38. Thank you. We had a maximum of 2 hours and we did it in much less time.